Wow, a freight broker I respect really well is named Seth Bland. He posted something on LinkedIn this week that stopped me mid scroll. He said his system tracks profit and loss by carrier. I'm assuming it might be his TMS, his transportation management software. And what it revealed was this: he had a carrier who was always in his sweet spot, right lane, right equipment, right response time, but his profit and loss said something totally different. That carrier in particular was costing him money every single time. And here's what nobody talks about: that loss is now sitting inside the rate engine you're paying for to tell you what a lane is worth. Now, the problem is simple that nobody wants to talk about. It's called borrowed data. Here's how a SaaS rate engine works. Something like DAT, FreightWave, Sonar, TruckStop, they aggregate transactional data from thousands of carriers and brokers, sometimes feeding from even factoring companies across the country. Normalize it. They present you with a rate range for a given lane. Every software, every SaaS company that you're renting their transportation management software is or possibly could be selling that data as well. We don't know that for a fact, but they're getting their data derived from sources. Bottom line. Sounds scientific, looks very authoritative, but that data includes every load someone covered at either a win or at a loss. Who knows if the loss was to keep a customer happy? Every detention charge that never got billed or got billed, every fuel surcharge that was underquoted or overquoted, every accessorial that got absorbed into the line haul because nobody wanted to have that conversation, all of it averaged together, presented to you as market rate, and you're not benchmarking against success right now. You're benchmarking against the average of everyone's mistake. That loss is now sitting, and I want you to hear this, I want it to resonate with you. That loss is now sitting inside the rate engine you're paying to tell you what a lane is worth. I'm going to stop here for just a moment. I'm going to go off script here for a minute. I'm going to go off the rails, okay? In 1990s, 2000, even up to 2024, 25, it is expected that everybody in our industry to eat the fruit that's given to us. And what do I mean by that? They want us to be reliant on the mega SaaS companies. Nothing wrong with it, but they've made their market share for way too long. It is now time for owners, CEOs, IT personnel, founders, one person companies to take everything that they have, look at it from another perspective, get educated, and really start making some decisions that are not released or demanded or expected upon, because you can now change the game. Things have completely changed because of AI, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about is Claude. It has completely changed the game on anything. Now, everyone's data, everyone's data, all comes down to the diesel problem. And what I mean by that is the pump doesn't care about last month. Let me show you where the gap between market rate and your actual cost is the widest right now. Fuel. The EIA, the U.S. Energy Information Administration, publishes on-highway diesel prices every single Monday. They're free, they're public, and the most accurate government source fuel data in the country. You can see the U.S. national average currently is $5.38 a gallon. That's up $1.81 since last year. Now go down to the West Coast here. It's at $6.31 a gallon, up $2.08. California is even worse, $6.87. If you're quoting a lane that touches the West Coast and your fuel surcharge table hasn't been updated this week, you're leaving money right on the table on every single load. And it's not about, and this is the part that I want you to understand, if you are the type of person that's a risk taker like myself, I'm going to go off on the rails again. A risk taker like myself, you're just going to pad it with a couple $100, hope that you'll be inside the mix. But wouldn't you rather be just darn right accurate and be able to have those conversations and say, you know what, ask that skill that I'm going to show you that you can now have. Ask Claude, because you already have the data, you already have the guardrails, you already have the education to be able to ask it a question and say, how much fuel is an average driver paying on this? So when you go to have those conversations in sales from customer to carrier, you're going to be able to add that to your quote and say, this is the reason why it's more expensive this month or this week versus last week. Because fuel can change. We've seen it. Where overnight, it's just a couple of weeks ago, it went up 58 cents overnight. From week to week, I should say. And most brokers are not pulling this data in any automated way. They update the table when they remember to, or when a carrier pushes back, when the damage is already done. And what part is the loss? Now, let me ask you a question. When you look at a load that came back at a loss, do you actually know which part lost money? Was it the line haul? Was it the detention that never got billed or did get billed? Was it the layover charge you absorbed to protect the customer relationship? Was it a TARP fee you forgot to add because the RFQ came in fast and you just wanted to get the quote out because you had a problem and a fire you had to deal with? That carrier looked like a winner on the surface. He dug deeper. He made it a quote, which then got my mind thinking and what is motivating me to make this video today. But the accessories and the fuel exposure told a different story. The rate platforms can't see any of this. They see the transactions. They don't see what's gotten eaten to make that transaction happen. Detention of $65 to $100 an hour. After 2 free hours, layovers up to $300 to $500 a night, depending on what it is. Tarping on open flatbeds, lumpers, staff to unload. 75 to 200 depending on the load. A lift gate at a receiver with no dock. Oversized permits by state. The list can go on. These are not edge cases. They're every single day loads. So let's go back to capacity. There's one more reason the platform's rate data is getting less reliable, and it's not about how the platforms work. It's about what happened to the carrier market underneath all of us. Now we're going to go back to 2023, but we're 3 years in, and we know that something's happened. 88,000 trucking companies were revoked in 2023 alone. Net contraction of nearly 10,000 more carriers in the first half 2024. We don't even know what the real data is. According to the FMCSA data, federal enforcement is actively pushing more capacity out of the market right now. Google Delilah, and you'll understand. The carriers who are running loads at a distressed rate during the freight recession, the ones who have transactions built out of the historical data of these platforms, are largely gone. The rates they were accepting are gone with them, but their data is still in the engine, still being averaged, still being presented as market. So how do we build it, the engine? This is the freight calculator skill. Now, if you go to my website, you're going to see an old rate calculator that I had where you have to do X amount of things, and it's going to take you probably 25 to 30 minutes to quote. This skill is to be built upon. And I'm going to go off the rails again. I'm going to go off script. What I mean by that is that it is to be built in a way, this is the way I'm using it, is I take this template skill and then I make the skill smarter. I bring in data, I bring in emails, I bring in data from my TMS software, whether that's in the form of exporting it to a Google Sheet and adding that data based on customer. However you want to get the carrier portion and the customer portion. In my case, I'm having it have full access to my TMS through an API that gives me both the profit and loss, and then also looks historically at all my quotes inside my email, because everyone knows that in sales, we would like to say that our CRM has the data that on all of our quotes, but for some of us who quote over 100 spot quotes a day, there's no way we could possibly know what wins and losses we have to know whether or not, are we quoting in a way? Well, and it's validating those conversations. The customer feedback is involved in those conversations. All of that is built into what we call a Claude skill. This is literally a freight calculator skill. It's live right now on GitHub in the Skills Freight Calculator folder, free to download, free to use, free to build upon. And here's what the skill.md is. Here's what's inside. The skill.md is a brain, the precise instructions that tell Claude exactly how to handle every quote, which is the EIA underscore diesel .py, which is a py. It fetches the live EIA diesel by region, the fuel surcharge returned automatically. Okay, so you're not just giving a region, it's pulling from that region, which is something I didn't do previously. I'm going to tell you, I just would mark it up 25 or 30%, to include the fuel surcharge, or mark it by, 64 cents a mile or whatever that mileage was, not realizing that there's definitely a difference in miles or difference in prices of diesel from one side of the coast of the United States to the other. It's going to calculate road miles between 2 points, which is our mileage code right here. Geocodes anything else via OpenStreetMap. It's going to generate a quote, a branded PDF generator in your brand colors. And that's what's going to change the gap. Because when you're trying to explain to clients why things are changing, why things are different, this PDF will explain everything. Not only will it explain everything, it will explain your payment terms. It will explain what your accessorials are, how much you're going to charge for, detention. It helps you make those hard conversations. The broker.config is a JSON file that you fill in once. You're going to fill in your name, your MC number, your colors, your email, colors meaning your brand colors. Every quote reflects your brand. Now, right here is the command. One command, this week's diesel, the right region automatically. So if you ran a fuel surcharge of $6.87 for California, which is a 63% fuel surcharge, that's a difference of 12% from Midwest on that same load. You need this. It goes quick. It's fast, faster than your brain can even think. And I'm going to call it out for what it is. Now, the origin, the destination, the miles and seconds, every 1,185 miles in that calculation with the $1.22 road factor, that's a standard freight approximation, comes back in under a second. It will run the miles in under a second. 100 major freight hubs are built into this database. For anything not in there, it geocodes automatically using OpenStreetMap. No API required, no account, no cost. Just drop in an address and get the mileage. Can you tell right now whether your favorite carrier is actually profitable, accounting for fuel, detention, and accessories? If the answer is no, you don't have a rate problem, you have a data problem. Now let me show you the full workflow and end-to-end inside Claude Code I'm going to paste a real RFQ, origin, destination, commodity, weight, equipment type. Then I'll just say, quote this load. Now, I would love to be able to do that for you tonight. Again, I am trying to get ready to make dinner. Maybe I'll post it later on, so follow my channel. I'll show you exactly how all of this works. I'll even show you how I download it and how I begin to use it and how I now change it based on my data. We're going to watch Claude pull this data at a different date. But the real question is I want to come back to Seth's story because it's not really about one carrier on one lane. When you look at a carrier who's always in your sweet spot, same lane, same equipment, always available, always responsive, you can tell me right now whether that carrier is profitable for you, not whether the lane is at market rate, whether that specific carrier on that specific lane, accounting on all the fuel exposure, is it making you money? So your rate engine is based on your data. Setup is under 3 minutes. It's local on your computer. You're filling in the branding once. Once you your next quote, the freight calculator, the freight, which basically is what we're talking about tonight, is the EI diesel, EIA diesel, the mileage and accessory and PDF. Then we have something that is, our freight quoter, which is just the PDF. Then we have a carrier incident report, which we spoke about at another video. You can grab that video up in the corner. RFQ, email scanner, Gmail. It looks at your Gmail and builds it out. Now, if you're using Outlook, obviously that's not for you. You can grab and copy and paste information into Claude Cowork as well, and it will work. It doesn't necessarily have to use your email. You can just copy and paste and it will work, and it will change your skill, and you can just say it doesn't, actually pull your email scanner if you're not using Gmail. Now, if you want a fully custom version, your specific customers, your lanes, your carrier history, voice agents, that quotes loads over the phone, that's what I do here at Look. I have no problem, signing an NDA. The link is in the description. If this helped you, subscribe. I build tools like this regularly. I release them here first. I drop a comment. Please drop a comment below. Tell me what's eating most of your time on your desk right now. What are you still doing manually that a machine can be handling? That's probably going to be my next build because we automate what you hate to do. So I wanted to say right here is the GitHub down in the description, and let's build together.